Have you ever walked away from an argument and felt stronger for it? Not weaker, not ashamed, but more in control, more dangerous. They shouted. You didn't. They pushed. You didn't move. Because silence is not weakness. It's a strategy. And most people don't understand that. We grow up being told, speak your mind, defend yourself, don't let anyone walk over you. But what if I told you, the ones who win the real battles say the least? They don't fight for attention. They don't explain themselves. They don't react. And yet, everyone feels their presence. They walk into a room, and the tension shifts. Not because of what they say, but because of what they don't. This power, the silent kind, isn't taught in schools. It's forged in fire, built through restraint, mastered in chaos. And in this video, you're going to see exactly how that power works. Not by yelling, not by clapping back, but by outlasting, outsmarting, outsilencing. Because sometimes the strongest move you can make is none at all. Most people confuse silence with surrender, but silence isn't weakness, it's positioning. When you don't react, they assume you've lost. That's fine, let them think that, because silence creates pressure, uncertainty, doubt, and that pressure, it breaks more people than words ever could. Every time someone attacks you, with words, with actions, they're trying to pull you into their world, into their tempo, into their control. But the moment you speak back too soon, you give them a map of your mind. You give them your emotional code. And once they have that, they'll press it again and again. But when you hold your silence, you keep them guessing, you stay unpredictable, you maintain psychological power. Think of the most influential figures in history. They rarely reacted. They didn't interrupt. They watched. They made people speak too much, reveal too much, overreach, until they buried themselves. You don't always win by countering. You win by waiting, by letting them burn their energy, by making them feel the weight of your silence. Because silence isn't passive. It's the most active decision in the room. It tells people, I see you. I just don't need to prove anything. It makes people question themselves. What is he thinking? Did I go too far? Why isn't he reacting? And when they start talking to themselves, that's when you already won. Power is quiet. It doesn't raise its voice. It doesn't need applause. It just moves with certainty, and people follow. Never underestimate the strategy of saying nothing. It makes your words more valuable when you finally choose to speak. In a world full of noise, the one who controls their silence controls the game. Most people rush to prove their strength, They raise their voice, flex their opinions, demand to be understood. But real power doesn't rush. It doesn't announce itself. It lets others unravel while it watches. Think of the silent ones. They say little, but they own the room. Not because of charm, not because of charisma, but because silence reveals who's really in control. When you're quiet, everything else gets louder. Their mistakes, their insecurities, their guilt. And here's the truth. People expose themselves when you don't respond. They overshare, they project, they panic in the quiet. You don't even have to speak to dominate a conversation. You just need to be calm while they fall apart. That's the battlefield of the mind. Silence forces your opponent to play both sides of the game, the attacker and the defender. They throw the punch, then question why you didn't flinch. That's when the fear sets in. They realize you don't need validation. You don't need to win the moment. You're playing for something bigger. Long-term control, psychological stamina, because power isn't just about making noise, it's about knowing when not to. It's about being comfortable in discomfort and letting others squirm. So the next time they push your buttons, don't give them the satisfaction of a reaction. Give them silence. Let them fear what you're thinking. Let them imagine your next move. Let them break themselves trying to decode you. And when the moment is right, you speak once, clearly, with precision, and it's game over. If you're the kind of person who's done staying reactive, who wants to master quiet power, subscribe now and stay with us. The real shift starts here. People are addicted to reaction. They feel powerful when they respond fast, when they clap back, correct, confront. But that power fades. Because reaction is predictable, and predictability is weakness. The silent one stays unreadable, unreachable, and that's exactly why they hold control. Look at chess masters. They don't rush the board. They don't make noise. They let the opponent feel safe, then collapse the entire plan. Silence works the same way. It's a setup, a trap. It invites false confidence, because the louder someone is, the more likely they're trying to hide something, their insecurity, their desperation, their lack of depth. But you don't need to perform. You just need to observe. And let their ego do the rest. Every time you refuse to engage, you're testing them. You're holding a mirror to their mind. And guess what? Most people break when faced with their own reflection. They think your silence means defeat. But silence isn't the end. It's the loading screen before a powerful move. It says, I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to end this strategically. Even in negotiations, the person who speaks less usually wins more. Why? Because silence makes them reveal more. Fill in blanks you left on purpose. expose gaps they didn't know existed. You gain more from quiet analysis than from loud defense. So when others expect noise, give them calculation. When they expect anger, give them stillness. And when they demand attention, give them mystery. That's the real power, not needing to fight, because your silence already won. Most people speak to escape silence. They panic when it's quiet. They rush to fill the gap, not with clarity, but with noise. But silence isn't a gap. It's a statement. It tells people, I'm here, I'm thinking, and I'm in control. It makes them uncomfortable because silence demands self-reflection, and not everyone is ready for that mirror. Think about moments of true impact. A stare across a room, a pause before a big decision, a leader who says nothing and says everything. Noise can be ignored, but silence, it echoes. When you don't defend yourself, people are forced to ask why. Are you confident? Are you planning something? You live rent-free in their heads. And the best part, while they burn energy figuring you out, you're conserving yours. You become the calm in their chaos, the one who isn't easily moved. And that stillness, it becomes your weapon, because silence attracts attention, not in the loud way, but in the magnetic way. It's the calm before the storm, except the storm is already over. You just didn't need to announce your victory. People underestimate quiet strength because they can't measure it, but it's there, in how people hesitate before speaking to you, in how they watch their words, in how your silence rewrites the energy of the room. You don't need to chase respect. You command it, silently. So let them talk, let them underestimate, let them exhaust themselves proving they're right. You'll prove everything by saying nothing. They'll call it weakness, cowardice, avoidance, but that's only because they don't understand it. They've never learned the weight of holding back. They think control means speaking louder, acting faster, dominating now. But power, real power, moves differently. It studies, it waits, it picks its moment with surgical precision. It doesn't respond to bait. It doesn't chase validation. It knows the cost of energy, and it never spends it where it's not needed. You don't owe them your reaction. You don't owe them your peace. What you do owe yourself is the discipline to keep that peace, to protect it like a throne, because every time you react just to prove a point, you abandon the throne to fight in the dirt. And who wins in the dirt? No one. But when you sit still, when your silence roars louder than their noise, they start to feel it. Not just hear it. Feel it. That pressure in their chest, that confusion in their eyes. It's because you didn't give them what they expected. You gave them powerlessness. You stayed in control. You made silence your weapon, and that's why you're dangerous. Now let me ask you something. If silence has the power to win battles, what else are you underestimating? If this spoke to something deep in you, maybe it's time you stayed a little longer. Subscribe. Watch what happens next.